Okay, so last time I did this, it was about 6 or 7 months ago, and I had the intention of doing these one tribe at a time, but my Pantalan Headcannons basically all relate to one another, so we're doing them all at once. Also, this one's more scripted. Like, I have a very long script. It's like 2 sheets of graph paper, front and back, so we are going to see if this actually, how long this actually ends up being. So yeah. First, I think that before Clearsight came to Pantala, they had some form of ancestor worship. I think they still do, just that for Hivewings, Clearsight is like the ancestor, so they just like pray to her. And the reason Silkwings sometimes do it is because it kind of rubs off on them, sort of like how like pagans and atheists still sometimes say Jesus Christ, or alternatively, it is more of a Star Clan system, and they all just worship dead people instead of ancestors specifically, and Clearsight is like Fire Star or Blue Star or like yeah, that's basically it. My next one is that like it has more to do with like size comparison and stuff like that. So like Silkwing wings are the best out of the 3 Pantalan tribes. Hivewings and Leafwings are more specialized. So Hivewings would probably be very good at maneuverability in flight. They probably they can probably fly backwards without much difficulty, and I'd be willing to bet that they fly relatively very fast, but I don't think they have that much endurance. Leafwing wings are probably better for gliding. I'd be willing to bet that they used to just glide between trees, like a flying squirrel or something, and which would make sense. It would make the destruction of the trees make a lot more sense. Like, besides the fact that they needed to cut down some trees to make the hives, because Wasp really wanted to cut off the Leafwings options, and if they can't like jump between trees, they can't like move as fast. You know what I mean? I'd be willing to bet like Silkwing wings are more generalized, probably. They can probably fly long distances the most easily and comfortably, and I'd be willing to bet that they could probably fly as fast as a Skywing if they tried. Like, I don't have any evidence of this, besides their wing shapes and the wing size in comparison to body size. But their wings are the widest, even if Leafwings' wings are longer. And Hivewing wings are the smallest, and, yeah. But, like, I feel like it makes more sense to just assume, because I'd be willing, like, if I look at, like, the official models, Silkwing wings are bigger than Skywing wings. They have the biggest wings out of all the tribe. I'm willing to bet they probably are the best flyers, which is a reasonable trade-off considering that they grow them in a chrysalis. Not a chrysalis, it's a cocoon, but yeah. I would also be willing to bet that Hivewings are the smallest and Silkwings are the biggest out of the tribes. I don't know why I just headcanon Hivewings as small, but I just sort of think of them as small, if that makes sense. Another headcanon I have is that the extra venom and stuff did not go away on their own. I have some ways that this would happen, but I don't believe that much evolution happened in 2,000 years. So we have 2 possible ways that this occurred. There is some sort of like temperature difference between the Hivewing hatcheries and the webs that causes the venom glands to develop. This happens in alligators, but with gender. So if you were to put a Silkwing in the Hivewing hatchery and they had the right genetics, they might develop fangs or something. My next possibility is that the lack of meat took away whatever protein was making the venom, if that makes sense. So it could have something to do with like epigenetics, if that's the right phrase. So like the taurine in the meat is transferred to the egg when it is like still inside the mother's body. And when there is no taurine, the genetic code isn't activated because it thinks that they're in a famine or something, and the venom glands cause more energy to be used. So if you had a non-vegetarian Silkwing that laid an egg, you might get a Silkwing with the venom, hypothetically, if you had the right genetics. Naturally, you may think that at least one Silkwing has not been vegetarian in the past, 200 years or so. And I'd say you're probably right. But like, I feel like it would either be covered up, shrugged off, or as a weird genetic mutation, or they'd just assume that dragonette was a hybrid. Yeah. I also have a few short ones. The old language used to be Latin. Warm colors are more dominant for silkwings. They seem to have co-dominant scale color genetics, but I think warm colors like overpower them somehow, which is probably why hivewings like sort of have yellow. Wait, that's why they have yellow, orange, red, and sometimes green and black scales instead of just varying colors with black scales. Another one, the antennae that beetle wings had turned into the hivewing horn on their face. I'm not sure how this would work, but I think it would make more sense than just it materializing out of nowhere. Like, this is some young Earth creationism level hyper evolution. Like, what are we doing here? Ken Ham would shudder at that speed that these dragons are evolving. Like, even him would be like, oh, that's pretty fast. Listen, wait, no, he's Australian, so he'd be like, Mike, that's pretty fast. Okay, I'm not, yeah, never mind. Also, this is made worse by the fact that there is not even any differential selection. Like, it would be more reasonable if there was. Like, the closest relative to a maned wolf is a bush dog, but they have a very different environment, and the silkwing, hivewing environment, mostly the same. Okay, the short answer is incest, but this is a book for middle schoolers, so I don't think she intended for that to be the implication. But if we're looking at this from a completely outside perspective, the hivewings are looking at a very big genetic bottleneck, assuming that she lived to be 200 years and had a clutch of 3 every single year. Then we're looking at 580 eggs, and at best they'd be half siblings, and there's no indication that either tribe regularly has clutches of 3. Okay, Cricket and Teddy did, both only children. Jewel probably is. Darkstalker and Whiteout are in a clutch of 2. Moonwatcher is in a clutch of 1, as is Clearsight, and I think Starflight is, if memory serves. The only tribe we have actual evidence of having large clutches is Mudwings and maybe Seawings. Maybe. So like, what? Listen, in my own personal world building, I have shrugged off some things. I'm sure, like, there are people in my comments section that, like, have read, Moth's Light, and I'm sure they could point out some, like, holes in the world building, but, like, so I understand, like, shrugging some things off. I just find this amusing. I'm not, like, I think the writing is amazing. Okay, I think it's amusing. Honestly, I don't even think that all hivewings are, like, perfectly half silkwing, half, nightwing. But because the hivewings treat them like they are, we're just gonna act like they are. But, like, from a practical perspective, it's probably more like a quarter or an eighth. Maybe like a third. No, it's like a quarter or an eighth probably. But it's still a pretty big genetic bottleneck. Like, if Clearsight had brought a friend over there, like her and like one other guy, it would make, I mean, there's no story reason why she would do that, but like, never mind. Okay, we're moving on. Next order of business. You know, I script them and I still get off onto random tangents. Listen, next order of business. Leaf speak isn't really leaf speak. It is mushroom speak. Basically, I don't think they're really talking to the plants. I think they're tapping into the mycelium network that the plants use to communicate, and the whole making plants grow thing is just them making the mycelium give that particular plant more energy. This is an actual thing, by the way. Plants do communicate using mycelium, which is really cool. You should check it out. And they just don't know about mycelium, so Yeah, maybe they just think mushrooms are also plants. I wonder how we found out that mushrooms aren't plants. I'll have to look into that. Anyways, next headcanon is that the continent of Pantala is a little bit further south compared to Phyra. I don't think the heads line up. I get the implication is that Turtle and Tsunami swam crooked a bit as opposed to the dragons that flew crooked. But if we use Occam's razor, it makes more sense that Turtle and Tsunami swam in a straight line than the people who had to stop at various islands. And like the latitude, like a jungle and a tundra on similar latitude, on the same latitude line is just, it doesn't make sense. This is not Minecraft. So I think the head of Pantala lines up with the Sand Kingdom, and that where the regular rainforest, not the poison jungle, is near the equator, and the tail of Pantala is almost at the Antarctic, but not quite. So that would probably make, I'm not sure how big Pantala and Phyra are, but I'd be willing, you know what, I'm willing to say that whatever planet they're on is bigger than Earth. They do have 3 moons, and I guess that does kind of imply that they're on a bigger planet, right? I don't know that much about, like, astronomy. I know more about astrology, because I went through kind of an astrology phase in freshman year, but, like, I'm not that good, like, for the amount of, like, I used to be Saturn Grouse, you'd think I'd know a lot about, astronomy and, like, how planets work. I don't. I just really like stars, okay? I really like space, I don't care to know about it. But I'd be willing to concede that Pantala and Phyra are on a bigger planet. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be on Earth. I don't think it is, considering that there's 3 moons. Yeah, if anyone knows about that, like something that Tui said on Twitter, feel free to let me know. I refuse to set foot on Twitter. I seriously doubt I'm allowed to. Like, I'm not allowed to have TikTok. I'm not allowed to have Twitter. We're on another tangent. Okay, last headcanon. Wait, no. 2 more headcanons left. I think leafwings have slower metabolisms than the rest of the tribes. My logic here is that they said a jaguar would feed the entire tribe, and the size of a jaguar does not make that make sense. Last headcanon, and then we're done. I'm done with the tangents, okay? Leafwings are a hybrid tribe between seawings and rainwings that hybridized a good amount of time before coming to Pantala. Maybe they used to live in, like, the southern rainforest, like, near where the sea meets, but I think it would make sense because of the ridge and, like, the tree-hugging lifestyle, and maybe that's why they were driven out, because they didn't like the hybrids. That's like a spaghetti theory, more so than a headcanon, but I like the idea, and I feel like the sea wings and leaf wings look more related than the silk wings and the hive wings, so I'm willing to run with it. Anyways, thank you for listening to me yap. If you got this far, leave me some Halloween-themed emojis, maybe like a jack-o'-lantern, maybe some orange hearts, I don't really know. If you have any headcanons of your own for the Pantalan tribes, leave those in the comments. I genuinely love reading comments, and consider liking and subscribing. I will see you next week.